Welcome to Fort Worth Innovates, a show about innovation, research, entrepreneurship, and startups in Panther City. My name is Cameron Cushman, and I'm the host of this podcast that brings you the stories of the people that are putting our city on the map as a leader in innovation, with the help of the Fort Worth Tarrant County Innovation Partnership. My guests today are Annette Landeros and Richard Andreski from Trinity Metro. Rich is the president and CEO of Trinity Metro, who is a 23-year veteran of public transportation, assuming his current role in 2022. He previously played critical roles in the development of rail and bus infrastructure in the New York metro area, in various roles at New Jersey Transit and the Connecticut Department of Transportation. Annette serves as Trinity Metro's Chief Strategy Officer, where she drives the agency's vision, supporting immediate and long-term goals to increase connectivity across the region. Annette was formerly the president and CEO of the Fort Worth Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and before that, she spent 12 years with the United States Department of Transportation's Office of the Inspector General. Annette and Rich, welcome to the Fort Worth Innovates podcast.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Cameron, good to be with you.
Okay, so I think most of our audience is probably familiar with Trinity Metro, but can you just please remind us, can you tell us about the mission of the organization in your own words?
Cameron, first, thank you again for having us on the program. Trinity Metro is the city of Fort Worth's and Tarrant County's public transportation provider. We are an enabler of mobility across the county, and we are a full-service organization, so we offer rail, bus, on-demand, paratransit, bike share, and van pool services.
Very cool. What is one fact about Trinity Metro that you don't think most people in Fort Worth know about?
I think one fact that folks do not know about that are new to transit, perhaps haven't tried it, is that all of our fares are just $2. And so that's really one of the initiatives that Rich brought to Trinity Metro was to try to streamline, make things as simple as possible to help a community that is not necessarily transit proficient on their own, make it easy to understand, easy to ride. So your ride to the airport is just $2 on TexRail, and your ride to the stockyards downtown to the stockyards on the Orange Line is just $2 as well. So a lot of folks, when they learn that, are very excited, especially that airport connection for just $2. It doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, no doubt. And it sure beats parking out there at $25 a day or whatever it is now. And so I love that. And you're right. Keeping it simple does mean a lot. We love our trucks. We love our cars in Fort Worth, but it is great to know that we have that option, particularly for a hard to get to place or a difficult place to park like the airport. So I really love that. As you know, we like to cover innovation on this show. Can you tell us about an innovative project that Trinity Metro has recently completed?
Cameron, Trinity Metro, when I arrived 4 years ago, we put our heads together as a leadership team and also with our board of directors, and we thought about what is our driving force, what's our North Star. And we've really developed an entirely new mission statement around connecting people to life. And one of our core values is innovation. Um, you'll often hear a lot of transit agencies talk about safety, and safety is job one for us. But innovation is an equally important core value. And so the way we think about innovation is not through the lens of technology, but what are the ways in which we can deliver better services through looking at an opportunity a little differently through a different lens. And one of those examples I'm quite proud of is our Trinity Metro color-coded bus lines. Now, your viewers may have heard about Orange Line. Orange Line is our new line that connects the downtown Fort Worth to the stockyards. And last year we introduced Blue Line. Blue Line is a downtown circulator that connects lots of our great downtown destinations. The claim to fame of these lines is taking the guesswork out of riding the bus. So it's an entirely new format for a bus. We have, first of all, it starts with the color of the route, which signifies where it goes. We have colorful artwork developed with local artists. On board, you'll be greeted with music playing in the background, softly in the background. And we even have a message from Mayor Matty Parker on board the Orange Line as you depart downtown, welcoming visitors to Fort Worth. There's lots of other little touches. Operators wear a Western tire, wear the vest while they're operating the bus. We have folks that take it even a step further and wear the boots and the hat. Well, that's totally optional by them. In the evenings, you'll see the bus, underside of the bus glowing as it makes its way down North Main Street. So you can see it in the dark. And then, of course, our bus stops have upgraded bus stop signs to make it really clear that the orange line and the blue line stop here. All those little things don't seem perhaps to someone not in our business as innovations, but they truly are innovations in the sense that we're um, putting a different foot forward when it comes to bus service. There's one more element to it, and that's the onboard payments. Onboard payments on Orange Line, you can take your Apple Pay and simply tap your phone at the fare box. This is something that has not yet been rolled out fleet wide, but it is again another step forward in innovation around fare payments.
I love that. Innovation doesn't necessarily have to make things more complicated. Sometimes the most innovative things make things simpler. And that just sounds like you made a difficult process much more simple. And I always appreciate that. And I also think too that a lot of this is about tourists who come to town. They want to see the stockyards. Maybe they stay downtown or whatever, and they got to get back and forth between the two. And depending on where you're coming from, a lot of people expect that kind of public transit that we don't take advantage of as much as Fort Worthians, but that people that are coming in from out of town absolutely do, and especially with big things on the horizon. We just finished the race in Arlington. We've got the World Cup coming up this summer, and so I love that you've made it more simple for not just for us in Fort Worth, but for people visiting that maybe have never been here before.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll only add that the orange line was actually the Route 15. Folks who are excited about the orange line because it's a lot easier to understand and easier to see actually think we have a new bus route, but that's not the case at all. It has existed, but again, now it's easier for folks to see, understand, and they are acclimating themselves to transit by being able to identify a bus and know where it's going. They may not have noticed Route 15, they probably knew nothing about it, but Orange Line, people know. So it's really exciting to watch Fort Worth really growing with Trinity Metro in these new ways.
I think that's great. Yeah, and it's a simple change, but I think it's significant. I much more remember Orange Line than I do Route 15, and maybe that's just the way I'm wired, but my guess is I'm not the only one that probably thought that. Okay, so I want to talk about trains for a second. You guys at Trinity Metro, you are involved with both the TexRail and the TRE trains. Can you remind us what those are, where those go, and are there any exciting updates that are coming to these now well-established service lines?
Absolutely. The TRE is one that a lot of folks are familiar with. It's our co-owned train that goes between downtown Dallas and downtown Fort Worth. We co-own and operate it with DART, our partners, and that is a fantastic line that's been in operation for decades. Folks know it because perhaps they commute between the two cities daily for work. Perhaps they take it to the state fair. A lot of folks really appreciate the game trains for Dallas Mavs and the Stars. It takes you straight there as well. So the TRE, the Trinity Railway Express, is that connector, truly a regional commuter line that connects our two cities. TexRail is our newer train for folks who haven't ridden. It connects from our DFW International Airport to downtown Fort Worth, all the way ending at TMP Station. For Trinity Metro, that has truly been the game changer because it's actually helped connect points within Tarrant County. So not only does it connect to the airport, but it goes through Northside, it goes through Grapevine, it goes through North Richland Hills. So what you're finding is a lot of our Tarrant County cities are able to connect and participate as well. Easy way to get downtown. Also easy way to get to the airport. That airport connection has really been helping convert choice riders, potentially folks that have an option in transportation. But they're seeing, just as you mentioned, it beats the daily parking at any rate within the airport. It also gets you around any congestion or traffic that you may be experiencing while heading to the airport on those highways because the train is operating on its own and generally 99% of the time it is running on time. So we're really proud of both of our trains. They are going to both be having a groundbreaking this year, which is really exciting for both and for Trinity Metro. TexRail, we're getting ready to break ground later this fall to our extension. As I mentioned, it ends currently at TMP Station. It is now going to the extension, will extend TexRail to the medical district right behind Baylor All Saints Hospital there to help connect those hospitals and provide transportation to 50,000 jobs that are located within the medical district in the near South Side area as well. We know that the community is excited, especially our near South Side folks who tend to be really embracers of transit. Now it's going to be even easier. And again, they're connecting to downtown, North Richland Hills, Grapevine, and the airport. So it's really excited to see that extension. The TRE, that groundbreaking is just slightly different, not an extension, not actually going to a new station, but we are going to be breaking ground on a double track project, which when completed years from now, this portion does not complete it. The double track will allow for a second track to be built alongside TRE, which in the future, when completed, will be able to speed up TRE trains to closer to 39 minutes between Dallas and Fort Worth. And if you can imagine that, that is going to be an undeniable, exciting venture to be able to get between the two cities in that short amount of time.
And the success of these rail projects driving us forward is that the public's responding. We're seeing the ridership grow and actually accelerate in many ways. I'll just highlight one little interesting fact, and that is 1 in 3 Tarrant residents, not households, but 1 in 3 residents uses either TRE or TexRail every year. So in a county of 2.2 million residents, more than 700,000 unique riders use our system every year. I think that's an impressive stat.
That's very impressive. And I'll tell you what I love to use it for is it's really hard to convince someone to take you to the airport. But if I just say, hey, could you drop me off at the near South Side? Could you drop me off at T&P? It's just a much easier deal. So I love it because it gets me a ride and I only have to pay $2 to get there. So I love it. So I had the privilege of attending your recent event at the TNP building. And I think it was the first time you'd ever had this event. So first off, tell me a little bit about this event. But one of the things that I loved is you talked about promises and possibilities. I thought that was a great way to kind of structure what you shared, Rich. Can you tell us what you meant by that? And what were some of the promises that you talked about and some of the possibilities?
This annual event was an inspiration of our leadership team. We've been really thinking about how can we connect better with our community. So I think the annual event was a fantastic way to gather lots of leaders from all different backgrounds in the same room together to hear the same message. On promises, it's about Trinity Metro sort of living up to its commitments. And so the idea of promises is that we have a robust set of priorities over the next 5 years that we've developed in partnership with our leaders, our city leaders and advocates and riders. And it's about delivering on those commitments. So we have 5 that we've identified. And you heard Annette talk about, our TexRail extension being one of them. But the other part of the agenda for the annual meeting was around possibilities. And I think our city, look, we're so darn proud of Fort Worth. We absolutely love our city. We love, first of all, the way people connect and support. We're so proud of our heritage, our Western culture. But what I think is most exciting is about the potential for our city to be something even greater than it is today. And we think public transportation could play a big role in that. So the idea of possibilities is to create the space for conversation. Some of the ideas I laid out at the annual meeting aren't necessarily prescriptions for what we should do as a city. It's let's talk about healthcare, let's talk about education, let's talk about tourism, and let's talk about economic development and think a little differently about how we first of all, support the goals that others might have for our city, but also to think more creatively around what transit can do to amplify outcomes. So it's not to say that there's already exciting things happening in each of those spaces, but when you add transit to the mix, you actually amplify the impact and amplify the benefits of those investments.
That's great. One of the other things that I took away from that event, the annual meeting, was you talked about movement versus magnetism. Tell us what that is and why are those two things important for Trinity Metro?
Yeah, we thought a lot about the experience and what we wanted people to walk away from that annual meeting, and we realized that the expectations that many attendees would have about a meeting hosted by a transit agency is likely a lot of ridership graphs, talking about buses and trains, and this is, how we're performing. This is our goal for ridership, and we wanted to really accomplish something completely different. We have all of that data and it's readily available, and we share that very often. It's on our website. We wanted to have an opportunity to have a different conversation with our city and our city's leaders. We wanted to talk about, yes, mobility, yes, buses, trains, van pool. We do move people every day. We're very proud of that and we do it well. But we wanted to talk about how transit for a city really can be more than that. It can be a connection point. It also is about quality of life, mobility, people's expectations when they visit a city to see if they want to move there, when they visit a city to see if they want to go to graduate school there, if they want to pursue opening a business there, moving a corporate headquarters there. These are all things that people are looking for. We know that transit, mobility, quality of life is one of them. And Trinity Metro is currently a big part of that, but should be considered one of those very important components to build on Fort Worth and Tarrant County success in the future. Our state and our region are growing exponentially every day. We all know it. We're all very proud to say we're one of the fastest growing cities in the country. But how are we going to maintain that quality of life and meet people's expectations for mobility as they grow here? And if we get it right and we do it well and we create spaces that people want to visit, not just for transit, but for experience, as a destination that adds something of value to their life and and how they want to move in the city, then that is going to create the magnetism that we need to ensure that we are the world class city that we aspire to be. And every world class city deserves a world class transit system.
I love that. Yeah, we are a world-class city and becoming one more and more every day just because of the rapid growth that is really fueling us into the future. So I love that. And I do think that, there is this notion of, as you talked about, that magnetism that people want to come to Fort Worth. It is becoming a really cool place to hang out, to go to the stockyards. I was there just last week and I was just shocked. It's middle of the day and there's people everywhere. It was nuts. And that's just the tourist component. That doesn't even include, the people coming for conferences and conventions and businesses and all kinds of things. So I do love that people can get around because they are attracted to this city.
Absolutely. We're very proud. We're very proud to be a part of Fort Worth, but also very proud to amplify everything that Fort Worth is trying to accomplish.
Love that. Okay, so we love to look into the future on this show. Can you look into your crystal ball and look into the future and tell us about some interesting projects that you have in the works that you can talk about?
Yeah. So we are at the very early stages of imagining what Trinity Metro will be in 5 to 25 years. It's really important as we go on this journey that we're delivering the results that people expect in the here and now, but we're also setting aside some time for the big, truly transformational ideas. Look, we see so much happening across our city, right? In every one of our districts. And so I think if you think about, for example, all the growth in investment that's happening in our downtown to start, particularly excited about Texas A&M and the innovation district that's taking shape. When we look at all of those vacant lots along Jones and Calhoun streets, it resembles in many ways what Denver Union Station area looked like in the 1990s. Lots of open land, lots of vision for what it could be. There is no better value proposition than that location in Fort Worth in terms of its connectivity to the greater region, right? From there, you can get to Dallas without any trouble at all. You can even get all the way over to Plano on the other side of the Metroplex by using TexRail and connecting to DART's Silver Line. So, tremendous, tremendous potential. The question is, there's lots of change that's coming in the transportation space right now. So there's certainly inc- changing consumer preferences in terms of how they travel. The rail is resurgent. The public wants rail. What we found through polling is that 4 in 5 respondents throughout Tarrant County want to see increased public investment in rail. But we also have other modes of transportation coming, including automated vehicles. And there's, of course, experimentation happening with eVTOL flying taxis even one day. It's not here yet, but when we think about 5, 10, and 15-year time horizons, we have to be contemplating these ideas. So one of the big ideas I mentioned was a a reimagined central station. What would that look like? What would it mean to have a destination in downtown Fort Worth that is a destination unto itself, not necessarily as a place to catch a bus or a train, but a place to gather, a place to come together for outdoor performances, farmers markets, um, other ways to connect, even world class restaurants. And so we have a little bit of an example of that in Grapevine, where Grapevine has reimagined what that train station means to downtown. And I think, our city of Fort Worth deserves a world-class train station. But, that's one of the ideas, and we've been talking about others.
Yeah, we're looking at all of our train stations right now. So just on that same vein, we have quite a few that are ripe with opportunity. If you think about everywhere that we have a TexRail station, they're basically train stations currently. Like, there's not necessarily a lot of transit-oriented development around them, so we're really, really excited to lean in on transit-oriented development. You may have heard the big news that Mike Brennan from near Southside has joined the Trinity Metro team. Truly, that is one of 2 big first steps that we're taking towards transit-oriented development. Our dream, our vision for TexRail and TRE is that all of our train stations be surrounded by great spaces where people actually want to spend time, that they feel really great about going to visit. Perhaps you can go to a coffee shop, or maybe we've even said what's to stop, Michelin rated restaurants from being at a beautiful downtown station. Really just leaning into trying to sell folks on transit-oriented development and what that looks like. So Mike Brennan joining our team, we're also starting a TOD study to look at all of those train stations with the city of Fort Worth to look at where those opportunities are, what needs to be done, what partners need to be brought to the table to really make sure that we are taking advantage of the space around our stations to maximize the economic development opportunity there.
And Annette, what's a TOD study, just so we can define a term?
Yeah, transit-oriented development, a TOD study. So really, we're looking, that means truly in other cities that are, again, I always say transit proficient because I, as a Texan, don't think I grew up transit proficient myself. But I've learned a lot along the way. What it means is really the area, the economic development that occurs around a transit stop or a train station. In other cities, when a train station is being constructed, the market knows it immediately, and investors are fighting over that land and trying to decide what retail shops are going to go there, what restaurants will be there, what apartments really close to have access to a train station. In other cities, that's really just a natural stream of thought. Here, our development has not necessarily leaned that way over the 8 years that TexRail has been operating. So we're hoping to help spur and inspire some of that economic development.
Well, yes, and you mentioned not only economic development, but you also mentioned the Texas A&M Fort Worth campus that is going to be opening its doors. The first new building will open its doors in the summer of 2026, which is super exciting. You mentioned that development. You mentioned the Innovation District. This is all the southeast quadrant of downtown Fort Worth. The other big project kicking off and/or is partially finished is the new convention center update. Trinity Metro has several important facilities and service lines in and around that neighborhood. So, is there more you could tell us, Rich or Annette, about those, what Trinity Metro has planned in that area? I know you mentioned a new kind of big train station there, but is there anything more specific that you guys are dreaming up?
Yes. So It's really important to think about this entire area as a district, and the value proposition of visiting Fort Worth is increasingly compelling to convention goers. So the first thing we think about is that whole journey from the airport and what it means to visit Fort Worth for the first time or a repeat visitor. Making it a car-free experience is a really important thing for a few reasons. One, um, making it frictionless and easy to get around and experience Fort Worth without a car is part of what will put us ahead of competing cities in many ways. There's also an economic reason to do it. Visitors, the 10, 11, I forget what number we're at from Visit Fort Worth, we might be up around 12 million visitors a year, are spending good sums of money on all of the things that it's all the ways in which they need to spend money on to get around. Ubers and rental cars and parking and fuel and all of those things. If that visitor experience is more car free, we can unlock spending potential for our city. So there's an economic reason to do it. We're really excited about what's to come with the new hotels that will emerge soon around the convention center, and that really, really beautiful rendering that we've all seen of the new convention center there. Um, just just incredibly uplifting in terms of vision and what we aspire to be as a city. What's to come? Annette, you want to tease our color coded line rollout?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as Rich mentioned, when you arrive at DFW Airport, you can get from DFW Airport to Central Station for $2. When you arrive there, really, that Central Station is where so many of our bus lines come through. If you're trying to get to the stockyards, which most visitors are, the orange line is there ready to take you every 15 minutes. If you're trying to potentially stay at one of the downtown hotels that are not adjacent to Central Station, every 7 minutes, the blue line's going to be circulating throughout downtown, again, carless. So now our next color coded route will also be departing Central Station. It is going to be La Línea Rosa, which we're really excited because that connects to the second most visited place in Fort Worth, which many don't realize is La Gran Plaza for regional visitors. It is actually a huge economic hub with over 400 small businesses located inside. And so that is also going to be themed for the final destination. It does go through Southside and down Hemphill as well. So for folks that are staying in that area, they'll be able to connect as well. So we're really excited because if you can get from TexRail to from the airport to downtown, truly your options are there to get you to the most visited places. So that's one of the things that we're really focused on when it comes to visitors and tourism. Easy to understand, easy to navigate, and hopefully you don't have to be spending any money on rental cars.
That's super cool. Yeah, and I don't, I'm old enough. I've been around Fort Worth long enough to remember that was the old Seminary South Mall, that's now La Grand Plaza. And I bet for most Fort Worthians, if you haven't visited there, it really is an incredible place. And there's so much cool stuff going on there. And you'll have another color coded line that will connect La Grand Plaza to the rest of Fort Worth. Translate that for us, Annette.
Yeah, La Línea Rosa would be the pink line in English. And so we're really excited. We're working with our partners there, a really vibrant cultural experience. We're thrilled because I think that it'll make it really easy for folks to understand, wow, look at all these experiences. Look at all of the different things that I can do in Fort Worth.
I've been practicing, and occasionally I'll get put on the spot. So let me try it again. La Línea Rosa.
There you
All
go. We
right.
got it.
Very good. Sounds like a local. There we go. I love it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rich. Yeah, and I think that is just one of those things that y'all are smart to put two and two together, that is such a destination for people all around the Metroplex that come to that area. And what a great way to connect them into not only Sundance Square, but also the rest of the city by having that bus line. So any idea when that'll roll out, or do we know when that's going to happen?
Yeah, this late September, early October is what we're hoping. So we have this little thing this summer called the World Cup. So we need to get through that and moving all of those thousands of people around our city. And as soon as we're done with that, we will be launching our color coded line.
Very cool. And I think from the Texas A&M Fort Worth perspective, It's not too hard to imagine that there are researchers flying in, there are companies flying in, there are startups, there are entrepreneurs, and they're coming from Boston or Silicon Valley or a place where public transportation may be a little bit more normalized. And they get off the plane and they want to take a train right to the innovation district. They want to take a plane right, or they want to take a train right to their research labs. And so I love the possibility of that. That's not only can they not do it, can they already do it now, but that in the future, that area just continues to grow around innovation.
Yeah, absolutely. Our hope is to really drive home that by connecting downtown, you also have the UTA Fort Worth University right there. So that's two universities by Central Station. When we continue to extend TexRail, the next stop after the medical district is actually TCU. So then we pick up a third university and not planned in the original TexRail plan, but we are exploring now that Tarleton has also set up south of Fort Worth. And it's actually not far from the rail line that we're operating on, what it would look like to be able to continue closer towards Tarleton, Fort Worth, which would make four universities connected by rail line. By the way, Tarleton and A&M are the same district, so there could possibly be faculty going back and forth, and a rail line connecting them would be fantastic. So we're really excited about that possibility.
Sign me up. That sounds incredible. What a cool view of the future. And thanks for sharing that with us. Okay, so I want to jump to our last question we always ask on the podcast. I want to know what your favorite innovation is in Fort Worth.
My favorite innovation in Fort Worth is actually a group that I think is doing it really well. I am so proud of everything that DFW Airport. I know we've talked a lot about the connectivity to the airport, but TexRail aside, DFW Airport and their innovation team is thinking about how to change the travel experience every day. I know we have dreamt up, Rich specifically, on how other cool things that we could do with TexRail to really weave ourselves into that innovation. But the way that, they have new shops where there's actually no tellers, you're checking yourself out, which for some folks seems kind of foreign, like how is that going to work? What I love is that they're not afraid to try new things. I love that they are willing to walk a group of users through a different experience, and they're teaching us all how to think outside of our normal operating lens and prepare ourselves for all sorts of innovative things that may come our way. So I'm really proud of DFW Airport and the work that they're doing.
What I'm proud most of our city is the space for conversations like the one we had a few weeks ago at our annual event. There truly is an openness here to change and to thinking differently about our future, which, having lived in other places, is not something we should take for granted. I've seen a receptivity at all levels of business, government, community advocacy, and conversations with residents around what we want to be as we grow. So I think there's an extraordinary opportunity here, truly, to think differently about the future of our city, and I see that happening in so many ways in so many rooms around our great city. So I think that's not specifically an innovation unto itself, but it's a climate of innovation which I think is exciting.
I love both of those answers. And Annette, stay tuned. I hope we get DFW Airport on very soon because a lot of people have pointed that out to us. Like, you need to look up there. They're doing some really innovative things. And so we hope to be covering that very soon. So, Annette and Rich, thank you so much for joining me today on Fort Worth Innovates. If you like hearing stories like this about innovation, research, entrepreneurship, and startups in our city, please subscribe, share, and be sure to tell a friend. The more you engage, the more episodes we can bring to you. Fort Worth Innovates is produced by Kendall Rogers. We'd also like to thank our sponsor for this podcast, the Fort Worth Tarrant County Innovation Partnership, who are building an innovation district that we just talked all about, where technology and research combine to build the future right here, right now.